Have you ever caught yourself thinking, when I hit six figures, then I'll relax. When my business is stable, then I'll feel successful. And when life slows down, then I'll enjoy it. We build this imaginary destination called arrival. And we convince ourselves that when we get there, we'll finally feel peace, fulfillment, and success. But what if the stress that you feel isn't because you haven't arrived? What if it's because arrival doesn't even exist? Today, I'm talking about success, stress, and the dangerous illusion of when I arrive, and how redefining success may be the key to achieving your dreams, both personally and professionally. Welcome to your Dream Coach podcast. I'm Shayla Wey. I'm a small business coach, leadership mentor, mom, and someone who believes you can build a business and a life that you love without burning yourself out along the way. Around here, we talk about leadership, fulfillment, and growth because success without fulfillment isn't success, and growth without leadership isn't sustainable. And today's conversation might shift how you measure your entire life. Well, let's dive into the myth of arrival. Here is what I found is that high achievers live in a constant state of pre-celebration. They postpone happiness until the next milestone. When revenue hits X, when the business stabilizes, when life feels calmer, then I'll feel successful. But the goalpost moves. Dan Sullivan talks about this in The Gap and the Gain, and he explains how we measure ourselves against an ideal future instead of recognizing how far we've come. When we live in the gap, we feel behind. And when we live in the gain, we feel fulfilled. Arrival keeps us stuck in the gap. And so why does this create stress? Well, from a coaching perspective, I see this constantly with small business owners. They build businesses for freedom, then they feel trapped by them. They chase growth, but feel exhausted. They achieve milestones, but still feel behind. Why? Because when success is future-based, your nervous system never gets permission to relax. You live in urgency, comparison, pressure. Researchers call this hedonic adaptation, where the brain quickly normalizes achievements. So what once felt exciting becomes the new baseline. And this is why. The promotion stops feeling exciting. The revenue milestone feels normal. The dream home becomes just the house. And if success is always next, stress becomes permanent. Now, success doesn't, in my experience, guarantee fulfillment. I've coached people hitting six figures, multiple six figures, and beyond. And what I have learned and what I have found is this. Success does not eliminate stress. Success does not create fulfillment. Success does not guarantee peace because fulfillment isn't a financial metric. It's an alignment metric. And in the book that I just finished a couple weeks ago, Die with Zero, Bill Perkins challenges the idea that achievement alone leads to a meaningful life. He emphasizes experiences, connection, and presence as the true currency of fulfillment. And fulfillment comes from meaning, purpose, relationships, contribution, presence. And without these, success can feel surprisingly empty. So the leadership shift, this is where leadership comes in, is leadership isn't just about leading teams. It's about leading your life. Powerful leaders redefine success internally instead of chasing it externally. So instead of I'll be successful when, they ask, who do I want to become along the way? James Clear's work on identity-based habits reinforces this. Lasting change happens when we focus on who we are becoming rather than what we are becoming. Because when identity evolves, success follows. And high performers and the stress loop is, I've learned that from working with lots of entrepreneurs, is that high performers often tie their worth to productivity. So slowing down feels unsafe, and that rest feels undeserved, and that presence starts to feel unproductive. But the most effective leaders protect their energy, their thinking time, their relationships, their health, their joy. And Greg McKeown writes in Essentialism that success often leads to more opportunities, which leads to overwhelm unless we become disciplined about what truly matters. Burnout isn't caused by doing too much. It's caused by doing too much of what doesn't matter. So growth without presence steals your life. Growth is beautiful, but growth without presence steals your life when you're building it. If you're always chasing the next level, you miss the life happening right now. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now reminds us that peace is never found in the future. It is only available in the present. Your kids growing, your friendships deepening, your life unfolding. So if you rush through the present chasing arrival, you miss the very life you're building. So a practical reframe that I share with clients is, instead of asking, when will I arrive? Asking yourself, how do I want to experience the journey? Instead of what do I need to achieve, asking ourselves, who am I becoming? And instead of what's next, asking what matters now. Dan Sullivan calls this measuring backward instead of forward, recognizing progress rather than chasing perfection. This reduces stress and it increases fulfillment immediately. So why does this accelerate success? Well, here's the irony. When you stop chasing arrival, you actually accelerate growth. In 10x is easier than 2x, Hardy and Sullivan explain that exponential growth requires eliminating unnecessary complexity and focusing on what truly moves the needle. So when you release pressure and you operate from clarity, you lead better, you decide faster, you attract aligned clients, and you build sustainably. And this is how you grow without burning out. So some really good reflection questions for those of you that are here listening today is that if this episode is hitting home, pause and ask yourself, what am I postponing happiness for? Where am I measuring myself against an unrealistic future? What progress have I ignored? And where am I rushing through my life? And what does success feel like today? Awareness creates freedom. So here, as we wrap up this episode, here is what I know for sure. There is no magical moment where stress disappears and fulfillment arrives. There is no finish line where you suddenly feel complete. There is only how you lead, how you grow, and how you present yourself to be along the way. Success isn't something you arrive at. It's something that you practice every day. So if this conversation speaks to you and you're building a business while trying to build a life you actually want to live, I want to invite you to join the LFG Business Academy on School. Inside, you will find the free mini leadership series, tools to grow your business with clarity, a community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, leadership frameworks that you can implement immediately. Just check the link in the show notes and you can come join us. Thank you for being here. And remember that your dream life doesn't begin when you arrive. It begins the moment you decide to lead your life differently. Because your dream life starts with the way you lead, the way you live, and the way you grow. I'll see you next time on Your Dream Coach podcast.